Hi, Gemini. Welcome to your January through June 2024 tarot reading. These are going pretty well so far. So I'm really interested to see how yours is going to turn out. The way that we do this is I have all of the major arcana and the four aces in one deck. We'll get an overlying theme from January to June, and then I'll go back with each month and look at each month and clarify more with tarot. So thinking about, we have Pluto ingressing Aquarius in January. February, we have Chiron conjunct the North Node for the entire month, really. And we have eclipse season in April. May should be May's going to be a really interesting month. That's going to be like some people are going to be really confused and obnoxious because they're confused, and some people are going to just feel really good and just kind of like the ones that are tapping into the love vibration, right? Like not the delusional vibration, but the love vibration. They're going to be feeling pretty good. And I think that everybody that's just angry might just have a lot of confusion and frustration. It's Mercury retrograde today. Frustration. Wow. All right. So January through June. So we have the Ace of Pentacles, Gemini, for January. We have the Hermit for February. We have the Fool for March. April is the Ace of Swords. May is the Wheel of Fortune, which interestingly enough has the Ace of Pentacles and like all of the aces on it. The Ace of Pentacles, the Ace of Cups, the Ace of Wands, and the Ace of Swords. And then we have Temperance for June. Got it. Okay, so I think something new is coming in January, and I think that it could be a new job. It could be a new opportunity to make some different money or new money. You may find that you're getting a promotion that's coming with new money. But sometimes with the Ace of Pentacles, we're pushing, we're putting out a lot of money, and then it comes back to us like in a bigger return down the road. So that might be it as well. So let's take a look at January. I do feel like there's something new that's happening in the first 6 months of this year. I feel like how do I want to put this? I feel like you're ready for something new. I feel like you're ready for that change. I feel like you're ready for that shift. And, you've been doing the thing that you're doing for a very long time. And I think that it's just, and, maybe it's just expanding upon what you're doing. Or maybe it's not expanding. Maybe it's kind of bringing things in so you're not putting so much effort out as much. So let's look at the Ace of Pentacles. But I do think that a lot of this has career written all over it, even though we only have one pentacle out right now. I do feel like this has career written all over it for you guys, or job, or just kind of like future in some way. Your relationships too are a little bit confusing for you as we're coming into January. And I kind of feel like in a way, so we have the Two of Cups and we have the Seven of Cups and we have the Moon. Okay. Gemini, I feel like in a way, the relationships are confusing because there are certain questions or certain I feel like there are conversations that needs to be had. I feel like with the Moon here, that there are just some things that need to be brought to the surface. They need to be brought to the light of day in order to be understood a little bit more. So, and this Two of Cups can absolutely be soulmates that are not romantic. Also, this could be friendships that are happening, but in the beginning of the year, it sort of looks like you're reevaluating your friendships. It looks like you're reevaluating the people that you want to be around, because you don't want to be in this confused, I don't know what's going on kind of mood. You know what I mean? Like a confused Gemini is kind of that's like a war weapon right there. That's not okay, right? So it feels like you're sort of moving on from something. Could be moving on from a relationship, but this is giving you an opportunity to open up some space for you. And if it's not about moving on from a romantic relationship, it feels like a friendship, something that was probably really, really close to you. And honestly, even though it might hurt, right? This death card here can hurt sometimes because evolution is a little painful. But with that death card, it's just about the energy transitioning. It's a transmutation of energy. But yeah, so there's this relationship that has to end. And once it does, I feel like that's where, and maybe it already did end in 2023. Maybe that's what happened. But there's this space that opens up for you. And a lot of times when space like that ends, when it comes to friendships or relationships, and space opens up like that for us, we don't even realize what we've been holding ourselves back from all this time. And it's like, holy crap, like I'm just so much lighter than I was. Like I feel like um I don't have to like overextend myself to show up in certain ways. And then we have the Chariot on the moon over here. So it does feel like a moving on kind of energy. And I think that it's just making you happier. You know, I think that it may not seem like that right in the moment, but I do, Gemini, truly believe that this is going to be making you happier. So in February, we have the Hermit, and the Hermit's journey is often done by themselves. You could be dealing with a Virgo, but the Hermit's journey is done not by a whole bunch of light, right? Like there's usually the Hermit does it in isolation and doesn't really necessarily know where they're going. So there's something here that's a really heavy, 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 heavy weight that you're carrying. And I think that you're at the end of this journey. I think you're at the end of like, I feel like this feels like the weight of the world is just on your shoulders with this 10 of Wands. And it really feels like you're coming to the end of that. We have the Tower. We had the Death card in January, and the Tower and the Death card are very similar energies. Very similar energies. And then we have the King of Cups. So dealing with a water sign, could be a Virgo that's also a water sign. But I feel like the ending of this really difficult journey is also where the foundation cracks and starts to crumble. And it could have to do with that relationship stuff. Like if you're still dealing with that relationship stuff, but let's clarify and see where we're going. So the 10 of Swords for February, the Tower. Okay, so there's something that you hear. You might actually be the King of Cups in this as well. It could also be a Pisces energy for you. Eight of Swords on the 10 of Wands, but I feel like you hear something, and that's, to me, that's where it kind of is like the last straw. Like I feel like you have a conversation with this person, and I feel like it's just the last straw, and you're not going to do it anymore. We have the Eight of Swords with the 10 of Wands. The Eight of Swords is a self-imposed imprisonment of the mind. And I think that this is what you're in as you start February. You come into February, you're feeling like the weight of the world is on your shoulders and you're overthinking everything. And then you hear something, okay? You have some kind of conversation with the King of Cups or with the Virgo or with whoever you're having a conversation with, and that foundation that was already cracked starts to crumble. And it absolutely has to happen. It absolutely has to happen because it's time for you to be able to have more room. And so I think that carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders, and almost like, I almost want to say that the tower could be like cracking under pressure too, and you needing to have a conversation with someone. And then we have the Hanged Man on the King of Cups. And it might be that you hear something from the King of Cups. The King of Cups is someone who has a lot of emotion, but doesn't necessarily show it all the time. And it runs really, really deep. It's like a very, like a lot of times they have these emotions just filling them up and they don't really know what to do with them. So they stuff them inside. And when they stuff them inside like that for too long, it can like explode. So either it's you, but the Hanged Man makes me feel like this tower and like all of the stuff that's coming crumbling down is forcing you to take a break. You got to pause. You got to reflect. You got to pause. Sometimes the Hanged Man comes out when people are getting sick and this feels like a lot of stress that you're under right now, Gemini. So easily by the end of February, you may feel like you're getting a cold or something like that. And so it's really time to pull yourself back away from the stress, because then after this tower moment and no longer having to feel that stress on you anymore, we have the Fool in March. And this is just that brand new beginning that you've been waiting for. The Fool suggests that we need to have faith in ourselves in order to make these decisions. We need to have faith in ourselves in order to start new experiences. And I think that this is about you really wrapping things up. I think that you're still a little confused about some of the details, or there's some of the details that you still want to have like confirmed for yourself. But in all of the confusion, right, that Knight of Wands is sort of this back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And all of that confusion, if you allow yourself to take each step forward in order to totally close out the cycle, right? The Eight of Pentacles may feel a little monotonous, but this is about you taking the proper steps forward so you don't end up putting yourself in a chaotic situation down the road. Being patient, one foot in front of the other, instead of trying to overwhelm yourself with everything all at once. And then we have the World, where is the closure, right? And with this closure and making sure that every single step is closed out, it's going to be a lot easier for you to make the decision to start something new. But March feels like, and I think intuitively you know this, March feels like there's almost this energy of needing to really trust your intuition and surrender to what your gut instincts and that third eye instinct is telling you, right? We have our feminine gut instinct and we have our masculine third eye instinct. And when we allow ourselves to balance out those instincts and we learn how to trust ourselves, we can surrender. So don't overthink the decisions. Don't overthink the process, right? And that's what this Nine of Wands on the Knight of Wands, that's what the Nine of Wands is saying. It's to surrender to what is to come, right? Sometimes we're not meant to know the details. Sometimes they're none of our damn business. And sometimes we just need to let it go. For some of you, this is about trying to figure out how to come back together with another person, with someone, maybe in a relationship. And we have the Three of Cups on the Eight of Pentacles. And that Three of Cups is like, this almost feels like you're rebuilding your network or rebuilding your community or like this, it feels like you're sort of starting at like ground zero and kind of stacking them up again and rebuilding. And then the high priestess here on the world, this makes me feel like there's this little nudge inside of you that's telling you that there's something that still needs to be taken care of. You still have some open-ended situations that need to be closed up before you can fully trust yourself to take this leap of faith that your soul is asking you to do for March. So we have April is the Ace of Swords. And with the Ace of Swords, now remember what the Ace of Swords is. It's a double-edged sword. The Ace of Swords can cut you with words, or the Ace of Swords can heal you and fix things with words. So really allowing yourself to make sure that you're watching your words at this time so you're not cutting everybody else. But there's some kind of like aha moment, or this could be a conversation that's had. But I feel like you're just ready to start building this new foundation. Here we are with that wrapping up loose ends. Page of Cups. Remember I said that there's just some loose ends that you still have to wrap up. I said that in March. With the Page of Cups, the Eight of Cups, and the Three of Pentacles. I feel like in order, and you know this, right? Because with the Page of Cups is the desire of something. And I think that you just want this to be over. I think you just want this part to be over. I think you want this part to end. And so you have this desire, and it's going to help you to be able to rebuild. Like you just want to be able to rebuild a new foundation already. You're done, you're tired, you're ready to start over. And I think that that's what this is what's happening. I think feels like a conversation. Page of Cups. And I think that the desire and the want and the need and you holding on to that is the heaviest weight of this. So if you allowed yourself to surrender to it a little bit more, I sort of feel like you would probably not suffer through the liminal spaces as much. Because I feel like, excuse me, I feel like 10 of Wands on the Page of Cups, right? Like you just want this heaviness to end. You want the weight of the world to be off of your shoulders. You don't want to deal with it anymore. You want the heaviness to end. And you're actually in control of that because you're in control of the ending. And I think the reason why sometimes we don't end things in our lives is the fear of what it's going to look like, right? What's the beginning going to look like? What's the next part going to look like? Is it going to be too hard for me to do? So we have the Emperor here with the Eight of Cups. And that's absolutely like, yes, sometimes the Emperor can be a little bit too controlling, but you control what it is that you're walking away from and why. You control that. And then we have the Six of Cups with the Three of Pentacles. The Six of Cups is the soulmate card. It's also about the past. So I feel like there's something from the past and a lot of healing of past stuff. Like there's almost a childhood healing that's happening right now for you, Gemini. And I think that that's really what's helping you build this foundation on something a little bit more solid than what the last one was built on, because it feels more familiar. It feels more familiar. So really pay attention to the signs that are coming to you, because it really is time for you to close things up in this chapter for yourself. And only you're going to know what that chapter is. I can't tell you guys what that, but everybody's like, what is that chapter? What am I closing? Well, you know what it is, where you want to move on. We have the Wheel of Fortune for May. And the Wheel of Fortune is that positive momentum and that positive shift forward. And with this positive shift forward, a lot of it feels very grounded. You have some decisions to make, and I almost feel like because things feel so good in May and so sweet in May, that you almost don't want to pay attention to the reality of decisions that you want to make. So in May, you'll need to get grounded. I think because the big shift is happening for you, there is a lot of positive stuff is happening in May. And it's kind of happening on an ethereal sort of like, we may not really be seeing exactly all of the really cool stuff that's going on, but we're going to feel it. But with the Four of Cups, it feels like I want you to pay attention to your grounding so that you can see the really sweet stuff coming towards you. And I don't want you to ignore the decisions that you have to make. The Two of Swords and the Two of Wands are here. And both of these cards are about being at a crossroads and needing to make a decision and not really paying attention to what they need to do. Not paying attention to the decision that needs to be made. So let's see here. Four of Cups. Knight of Cups. Oops. And the Strength card. Queen of Cups on the Four of Cups, for sure. Part of you might feel like you're being ignored by the water sign, for some of you. For some of you, this is you being really emotional and you need to find that grounding space for yourself. The star on the Knight of Cups makes me feel like May is going to be a really big month for your soul purpose and for your journey. And so I want you to pay attention to what's happening in May. And I really want you to pay attention to the decisions that you need to make, but we're going to get there in a minute. The star on the Knight of Cups. So with the Knight of Cups, there's like something really sweet, like a sweet message coming in. Something is making this shift happen. And I sort of feel like could be the water sign that's showing up for you. Could be that you are showing up for yourself. But the Strength card could be a Leo also. But the Strength card on the Two of Swords and the Two of Wands, in a really big way, what happened at the beginning of the year is helping you with your resilience. And with this resilience, you will be able to make these decisions. And maybe you won't feel like that at the beginning of May, but you will probably feel like that by the end of May. Okay. And then finally, we have Temperance for June. So Gemini. Temperance for June means that this is where that balanced intuition comes in, that logical mind and that intuitive heart. So the intuitive logic and the feeling logic, right? Or the intuitive logic and the feeling intuition. Both of them are necessary to make decisions. So temperance is like really being patient with yourself. This is your season. Also, we have the Fool again and temperance. And I think that shift in that shift in May really helped you, but you do have decisions to make. And I think these decisions are for your happiness. So we have the Fool. We have the 10 of Cups. And we have the Knight of Wands. And so this in so much makes me feel like, I think that in some ways you're still trying to figure out what it is exactly what you want to be happy in life. But in many other ways, with this 10 of Cups and this Fool, it's like, I know that I just need to take one step. It doesn't matter what step that looks like. I just need to take a step for myself in order for it to, be happy. Like to stop doing that back and forth, like trying to figure out what is that step going to look like and how is everything going to da 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 da, all the what ifs, right? The Fool, the 10 of Cups, and the Knight of Wands. So with the Four of Pentacles on the Fool, this is where you can really stagnate yourself by holding on to anything previous. You can really, really stagnate yourself. Three of Wands on 10 of Cups. Sorry, I just had a memory of this guy being a real asshole to me online. That's why I paused. I don't know why that popped up as I was showing that to you. Like maybe not hold on to the resentments, maybe not hold on to the past stuff, maybe not hold on to those things. I don't know why that thought popped up in my mind right when I was telling you that you were being stagnant by holding on to things. So maybe try and look at those resentments or those anger things that you're really holding on to, because I think that you need to make some space, right? Three of Wands on the 10 of Cups. In order for you to be happy, Gemini, you really need to open up your opportunities and possibilities even more than what you've allowed yourself to do this time. And then we have the Death card with the Knight of Wands. You got to stop wavering. Got to stop going back and forth. You know what it is that you need to do, and you know what is going to make you happy, or you have some ideas of what's going to make you happy. And it's really time for you to look at that instead of looking at how you make everybody else happy, you know? All right, my friends, thanks for hanging out with me for your January through June tarot reading. I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful first 6 months of the year, and I'll see you really soon. Bye.